Who's going to start?
There. Well, I already started. I hit the button.
I know. Who's going to talk first?
We're ready to go. Okay, first of all, what is the name of our... Oh, I got to take that off. Hang on a minute. So what is the name of our podcast again? Stitching Up
Trouble.
All right. Okay, so you want to intro? You want to do it?
Sure, I'll give it a shot.
Okay. This was your bright idea, so.
Oh, this is going to look great in our outtake reel up on our
Well, yeah, we can't even stop laughing, so, here we go.
Here we go. Hello, everybody. I am Mary Sawatzka. I am the owner of Coosa Mountain Lodge in Dahlonega, Georgia, and we are here today for our first podcast episode with my good friend Heidi Pridemore. She is the owner and creative inspiration and extraordinaire behind the Whimsical Workshop. Heidi has become a very good friend of mine over the last few years, and I'm very excited about this new endeavor with her. So hopefully you guys will enjoy being along, and we'll have some fun with us.
So I was very excited when Mary asked me to do this because I'm in Phoenix and she is in Georgia, and we don't get to see each other very often, except for when we're working at her lodge. And we thought it would be fun to have a podcast called Stitching Up Trouble, because that's kind of what we do. Is get in trouble.
Yeah, every time I mention to my husband, oh, I'm getting together with Heidi, he'll say, that sounds like trouble.
So he named it. So, but we thought it would be fun.
That much credit.
Sure we will. But we thought it would be fun to have a podcast that tells you guys about what's going on in both of our businesses, which is Coosa Mountain Lodge Retreat, and what is the new building called?
The original building is the lodge. The new one is the retreat. So it'll be Coosa Mountain Lodge and Retreat.
Right. And that'll become more clear as we talk about her very exciting endeavor. And then you'll also get to hear stories and antics about what it is to be a quilt designer in the quilting industry, as well as in the craft industry. We kind of dip our toes into a lot of stuff. So this being our very first podcast, we thought we would share with you guys a little bit about each of us. And Mary, we can do this two different ways. I can ask you questions that could be tricky. Or we could just do our regular sales pitch.
Well, I am happy to answer any questions that you have for me. So,
okay.
But
you'll have to think of some for me.
Yeah, I want to give a shot at introducing you and see how much I know about you and how much I get right. So,
just remember,
Heidi Pridemore. Yes, Heidi Pridemore is a quilt and fabric designer, pattern designer, teacher extraordinaire. She has a degree in some sort of art. I don't remember the exact degree that she has, but it's in design. She was on the short list for a job at Lego several years ago. Yeah. She has no sense of smell because she lost it in college with all of the paints and fumes and things like that she was using. She's the middle child of 3 wonderful women. She is a very strong, talented, passionate woman who is extremely generous with her time and her talents, and wants everybody to be able to learn everything and do all of the creative things, and will go above and beyond for her students. So she's also fun to hang out with. She's a good traveler. We travel well together. She is the worst, and I mean the worst navigator ever, like bad. Um,
I agree.
and but she likes an adventure, so when she steers me wrong, we just circle the block and find something cool to do. So
Yeah, we meant to go that way.
yeah, oh yeah. So that's Heidi in a nutshell. Did I
All
get
right.
most of that right?
Yes, yes. Degree is industrial design, which is does
Industrial
not,
design.
yeah,
Okay.
does not
Right.
come to mind with craft and quilting, which I'm grateful for. All right, it's my turn.
Okay.
Mary is, first of all, I stole her from my big sister because Mary and my big sister are best of buds, and that's how I met Mary, was through her. And
Mhm.
Mary has a wonderful family of with 4 children and 2 dogs and a husband.
Mhm.
And she comes from a family, I'm gonna get this wrong, of 12 children.
Yep.
Oh, I was right. I thought I was
You're right.
overestimating. And Mary falls down
Sadly,
at the
no.
lower end.
Yeah, I'm the
She's either the
baby.
baby. Yep. Okay, that's what I was gonna guess. But she's super generous as well, very giving. She has created this wonderful lodge where people can go and create and experience a companionship, I should say, with their friends, as well as just a beautiful place to be. And she has been so successful at that she is now required to build a new building so more people can go and experience that. She loves to travel. She's very fun to go out, and did a trip in October. It was our first trip, and it was just, she's a great roommate, very considerate, and she is just a wonderful person to get to know. And she is very generous with her time, expertise, and um, her place that she shares with us. And she teaches at Common Thread.
I do. Yes,
She
that's
does
new.
get a ton done, and I have no idea how because she is always on the go. So, how was
Yeah.
that?
Perfect. Wonderful. You make me
All
sound good. Thank you.
right. But we wouldn't do this if we didn't like each other. So,
True. That would be a terrible podcast.
though people would tune in, wouldn't they?
They would. They would. The
They'd be
I
like,
Hate Heidi Pridemore podcast. That would be awful.
yeah, it wouldn't do very well for my marketing either. So,
No, it wouldn't.
all right. So let's start with how did Kusa Lodge start? I mean,
How
well,
did it
first of all,
start?
why is it named Kusa Lodge? I know the answer, but they don't.
Yes, Coosa Lodge is named after the black lab that my husband and I had when we got married. And Coosa was around when our 4 kids were born, and she was just a very special member of the family. So we named the lodge after her. That was my daughter Maggie's suggestion. So,
Oh, that,
mhm.
and I always thought it was the name of the mountain that I was looking at outside the lodge because
Yeah.
the view
Well,
from the lodge is spectacular. And I was like, oh, that must be Kusa Mountain.
yeah. Well, so the one that we look at, I believe, is Cedar Mountain, which is kind of a
Okay.
generic name. And there was already a Cedar Mountain Lodge somewhere.
Mm.
And then when you look on the horizon, some of the other mountain names are Blood Mountain and Slaughter Mountain. And I didn't think those were fitting for a retreat. So the family
Uh,
was talking, and Maggie just suggested, well, let's just name it something that we want to name it and call it
mhm.
Kusa. So that's
Yeah.
where it came from.
And Coosa Mountain Lodge is in Dahlonega, Georgia, which is a
Hmm.
lovely town to go visit. And there are not one but two quilt shops in the area.
Hmm.
And it is open. Well, currently you are booked through 2025.
Yes, I have 2 weekends open that I just opened up. I had set aside for the family to use it, but
Mm.
decided that the demand was there. So I have availability Memorial Day weekend and 4th of July weekend.
Oh,
And
wow.
those are the
Yeah.
only 2 weekends left in 2025.
And that is why you are building the retreat,
Yes.
which is very, very exciting. So you're probably wondering, why is this lady in Phoenix all excited about the lodge in Georgia? And that is because Mary had she had a crazy idea 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, And she
Hmm.
invited me to come in and teach her groups, to run a full retreat with classes.
Hmm.
And we spend the entire weekend together, and it is a hoot. I have video I'm
It
not allowed to
is.
post as evidence.
Yeah, that's true.
I have blackmail video. And they have
Oh,
been
so do I,
doing well.
Heidi. So do
They've been doing so well that she has added for 2025. We have one in November that we're doing together, and
I.
then we
Hmm.
have three in 2026, and these will be open to the public. You can register for those. We'll share more about that in future podcasts. But
Hmm.
um, I get to teach in the new building as soon as it's done, which is so
Yes.
exciting.
Hopefully,
If you want,
hopefully the November one.
what's that?
Hopefully November. Hopefully November of this year.
Hopefully. Oh, I was planning on November.
Well,
No pressure. Get that building built.
I'm working
So,
on it. I'm working on it.
but so
I
we'll
made
share
some
that.
changes today to the plans
Oh,
that my builder said would save him a week.
ooh,
So,
they didn't take the
so
elevator out, did they?
no, no, they did not. Um, but yeah, I normally when I go up to the job site and look around, I'm like, oh yeah, I need a window there, and you need to take this out and
Oh,
whatever, and
yeah.
it costs him at least a day every time I go up there. This
Mhm.
time it saved him at least a week, so
Oh, there you go.
I'm ahead of the game. So yeah.
So, where can viewers go watch the building going up? Like, where can
So
they go
on
follow this?
my Facebook page, Coosa Mountain Lodge. I'm on Instagram under the same thing as well, and I am building a YouTube channel. So the videos that we are posting on Facebook are also going to be on YouTube. So we're working on that as
And
well.
you'll have a playlist then on YouTube.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And then we will start posting on the website coosamountainlodge.com. So
yeah. So lots of
mhm.
places. It's so exciting. I've been telling people about the building. Everybody out here is like, "Oh, I want to go for a retreat," and I'm like, "You just need to go." The biggest thing that think is so cool is that there will be an elevator in the building. They
Yes,
think that's the
yes,
coolest thing. They're like, it's a retreat house with an elevator. And I'm like, yeah. So,
yes.
it's
I
not the
have
huge, gorgeous classroom. It's not the amazing view. It's not
no
me being there to teach. It's the dang elevator.
the elevator. So the lodge right now, the reason why the elevator is important, the lodge right now, um, some groups have a hard time staying there because it's 3 levels. So if somebody has trouble with stairs, um, it's really hard for them to stay there. I've done what I can to make it wheelchair accessible, um, but it was not designed as a public building. It was built as somebody's private home, and I've converted it into a retreat. So there's some things that don't work for everybody. So with the new building, I've tried really, really hard to kind of think of everything that would make it as comfortable and easy to use as possible. So more
And that's why we all
bathrooms,
love you.
the elevator, the bigger classroom, a bigger kitchen. So
That's a
yeah,
really good point. I'm not sure why all my quilting friends were not excited about having a bathroom with the rooms.
yeah,
Is it every room has its own bathroom? Or there's two
yes,
rooms yeah, every room has their own bathroom. So if you've gone on a quilting retreat with 10 women and there's only 3 bathrooms in the building,
right.
you'll understand how lovely it would be just to have that.
Yes.
So,
Yes. So each bedroom has a bathroom attached to it.
mhm.
And 2 of the bathrooms that are attached to bedrooms will be wheelchair accessible.
Oh,
So
nice.
it'll
Yeah,
it should be
yeah.
much more easy to use for a wider range of
Right,
people.
right. It'll
So
be just more comfortable for everybody.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
not
And the
the Kusa
kitchen,
Lodge is not, because Kusa
I
Lodge
mean,
is lovely.
it's full, so
Yeah,
there's some redeeming qualities there, and I think that one um, will always have kind of a special spot in people's hearts
yeah,
because that's the original one, and it's
yeah,
very homey and very cozy, I think.
yeah.
And but
Well,
there's
and it
just
would
people that need
the
the
Kusa Lodge
accommodation.
has a full living room. So, like, if you're with a group that wants to like step away from the sewing room, I know that's hard to believe there would be one, but if you had a
Right.
group that did it, or
Hmm.
we've done the trunk shows in the living room. So,
Correct.
like, if you want to have more of a feel of being in a home, more
Hmm.
homey feeling, that's the
Hmm.
lodge. And if you really just want
Hmm.
to, like, if you live at the sewing machine and you go to your
Hmm.
room to crash and you eat, then you want to be at the retreat. But they have
Yeah,
totally different vibes, I think. So,
they do. I'm going to try to make them feel as like kind of have the same feel to
mhm.
them. There will be a very nice living room and fireplace in the retreat as well.
Oh, there will be. Okay.
So there will be.
Where's that?
It's
Where's that
upstairs with
going to
the
go?
bedrooms. Upstairs with the bedrooms.
Oh,
And the,
okay.
so each end of the house will have 4 bedrooms and 4 bathrooms. And in the
Mm.
center with the vaulted ceiling will be the living room with the
Ah,
walkout deck and the fireplace with the
see?
built-in shelves.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm learning
so
something new here. See, the second floor wasn't built when I got there. I was
no,
just
it wasn't.
there in February. You
Yeah.
had the foundation
We,
poured. You had the framing of the
right.
first floor.
Hmm.
That's all that I saw. And then you had said, "Oh yes, you take the elevator up to the bedroom." So I guess I just assumed it was all bedrooms up there. But so take that all back. They'll both be homey and lovely.
It will be. But um, the lodge is the original one. It's
Hmm.
the OG, as
Yeah.
they say. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
That's cool.
they're both going to be so fun to be at, and they're both going to
Yeah.
have a great view. And um, you know, I've put
Yeah.
everything that I can possibly do and think of into these retreats to
Yeah.
make it as easy as possible for people to come and enjoy themselves. So,
Well, and I mean, I've traveled a lot. I've been to a lot of
mhm,
retreat places. And I mean, I know you're my friend, but yours is like very luxurious compared to where I
mhm,
have stayed. So those are all really good things about Kusa Mountain Lodge, and just follow the building as it goes up. It's really, really cool. I was lucky enough to be the first person, it was the first time I've ever been asked to autograph a building. So they took me down there in the pouring rain in February, and I signed one of the beams in the building, and I'm
mhm.
assuming other people are signing it as well.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yep.
And I
Anybody who
was the
comes to check
first.
it out and process, we're the first. Um, yeah. So, as people come and get a tour of the
Hmm.
facility. I'm handing them a Sharpie or a pencil or whatever and having them sign. So my friend Dana, um, she does a lot of my IT work and helps me tremendously with my website and all of my social media and stuff. Um, she was here yesterday and signed it, and then
Mm.
Gerald covered it up already, and I didn't get a chance to take a picture of it. So I
Oh
made her sign
no.
again. So she signed it twice, and I have
Oh,
a picture
good.
of it this time.
Yeah.
So
So basically, people are signing the 2x4s that will all be
mhm,
covered up with the drywall. But what it
yeah,
does, it creates kind of a time capsule, a snapshot in
right.
time of these people
Hmm.
were here at the beginning. And I think
Yeah,
it's so cool. And I do think it's really funny. I can tell everybody, yeah, I've autographed a lot of things, but now I've autographed a building. So,
the building. So yeah, people are signing it with just well wishes and
yeah.
kind of a little sentiment about what the original lodge means to them, and
Mhm.
things like that. So it's really sweet.
So there'll be
So
a lot of love in the walls.
absolutely,
So, well,
absolutely.
that is awesome. All right. What else should we talk about here? Oh, here we go. What do you like about running the retreat?
Oh my
Your
gosh, there's so
favorite
many
part about
things.
running the retreat, if you had to pick one.
The connections that I've made.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
a good one.
really, it's so amazing to me. Um, like the people that I have met and that this retreat has brought into my life are just like some of the most amazing people. And I'm so lucky to have gotten to know all of them. But even more exciting and more fulfilling to me than that is the people that have met each other and have
Hmm.
expanded their friend groups and have, I've I feel very special to be responsible in some small way for people making friends and getting to know each other. And I think it's really hard sometimes as an adult
Mhm.
to make new friends
Right.
and those connections. And so like when I have you come and you host your classes and we bring people from different groups together and
Yeah.
they meet,
Yeah.
they're making friends and they're making those connections, and their friend base is so much bigger now, and it's just really very fulfilling because I think, as people get older, loneliness becomes a huge factor.
Hmm.
And so being able to make those connections with people and expand people's
Yeah.
social circles and their friendships, and then they get re-inspired to quilt some more or try a different
Yeah.
pattern or learn a new skill or try a different colorway or whatever. It's really those connections that I've made that's been my favorite part. Like,
Yeah.
it's just been amazing, and it's something that I had like no clue that would be one of the things that would
That was one
happen.
of the magic
Yeah,
happy accidents that come
yeah,
from it. So,
absolutely.
and that's a
Mhm.
that's a really good point because I haven't really thought about that. But even myself, I go on quilt retreats with my friends,
Right,
or you have quilt retreats with your friends, and you're right. Our retreats together are pretty unique because they
right.
are open to the public, and we've
Hmm.
done four, I think, three or
Hmm.
four now, and you've brought in a group, different people from different
Hmm.
dynamics, different lifestyles, different everything. And I have to say
Hmm.
all of them have just been the loveliest groups. It's like every time I do one of those groups I feel like I have
Yeah,
my family's expanded. So
yeah,
that is
absolutely.
a
Yeah,
really unique combination to
yeah.
mix groups and not go with your safety net. So
Exactly, exactly.
yeah.
And I think quilters at heart are just amazing, giving, talented people. And so it's very easy to get
Mhm.
quilters together and have them hit it off. But to have that common interest
Mhm.
as the basis for the new relationships, you
Right.
can expand on that from there, but to
Yeah.
have the common interest to bring the people together has been really very special.
Right.
So,
And then now this last group was more unique because you knew most of those people.
mhm.
But we
Yeah,
started a text thread with
yeah,
everybody, which we'd never done with a
right.
retreat. And it was so nice this week just to be able to, like, people have popped in. Oh, hey, I
Mhm.
met up with so and so, and hello to the group, and so it
Yeah,
continues on, which is kind of an. I think that would be a really neat thing to keep
yeah.
building on. So, okay, let's see here. Um, what is one of the funniest or most memorable experiences you've had at one of our retreats that we shared together?
That might involve that video that you're not allowed to show.
Yes, we without giving away too much and getting people in trouble, we made a very funny video. It was just
Yeah,
women dancing and singing, maybe
yeah,
slightly
but
inappropriately. Everybody's clothes stayed on, so that wasn't that bad.
yeah, and nobody said
But
any bad words, but it was just
no, but
fun
there were
and
several
goofy.
professional women who were like,
Yeah,
"Ooh, we cannot post that because it
yeah,
might get me in trouble with my job." So I would
yeah.
agree. That was probably
That
the
one. Yeah,
funniest thing.
yeah.
So
Um, what else? Oh, making you haul half a cow, I think was that was
yes,
quite
maybe
funny as well. That
yeah.
was
That was quite the
um
story.
yes, yes,
So
yes. Um
and you didn't
that
make me
yeah,
do that this time though.
no, I did not.
No. No.
Um no cows to
Now,
haul this
for you
time.
guys listening, I Mary picked me up and she drove me from my sister who lives in Decatur to Dahlonega. The van that she was driving in had all my boxes, my suitcases. I never travel light. I think this last
Mhm.
time was probably the lightest I ever traveled. And it was packed full. I had no idea what else was in the van. It's not my van. Wasn't really worried about it. She goes, "Oh, we need to stop off at Dana's house, who we talked about earlier,
Mhm.
who you guys will hear lots of, and hopefully we'll get her on the podcast as well."
Yeah.
And we stopped, and she goes, "Okay, we need to get this half a cow out of my van." And I'm like, "What?" because I'm from the suburbs. We don't drive around with half a cows in our truck. And I'm picturing literally a half a cow. And she opens up the back, and it's this humongous Yeti cooler that was how heavy? It was like 140 pounds or something.
Oh, it was probably like 200 or 300 pounds
Oh, yeah, it was heavy.
because it was, yeah, it was
Yeah.
half a cow in there.
And of course, I'm like little Miss Helpful. I'm like, here, I'll grab the other side. And we hauled this huge cooler up to the Dana's garage, and
Mhm.
they're like, "Well, do you want to see what you carried?" And I'm thinking, I mean, the horrors in my head. I'm just picturing like cow head, you know.
Yeah,
And she pops it open, and it's all like pre-processed hamburger in packages and steaks.
yeah,
And I was just like, "Oh, I feel better, but it doesn't make as much of an interesting story that
no,
I helped
no,
you move a half a cow."
yeah. So I have a good friend who raises um, different farm animals. She's done like free range chickens for me before and things like that. And so she had raised a cow for me,
Hmm.
and we had it butchered, and Dana agreed to split it with me. So
Hmm.
I split a
That's
cow.
where the cow came from.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So it was a a side of beef, and it was all wrapped and frozen, and was not like gross at all. But
no, but if you could have been in my head, you'd have,
I know that
it was.
was I only gave a little bit of information on purpose because I knew it would start you spinning a little bit.
She does
Because
that to you. You have to watch out.
yeah,
She's very good at just quietly, only saying enough to get the stories going. So,
yep.
well, so I think because believe it or not, we've already talked for 30 minutes. Um, I think how about we talk about how we met and our first impressions.
Okay, you go first this time. I want to
I'll
hear.
go first, but maybe not first impressions because I'm not sure I can actually remember my first impression.
Oh,
But
great.
my no, I'm just not in general. I have the memory of a gnat, but I do remember the first time I met you.
Hmm.
So my sister again, she lives in Decatur, Georgia. She met Mary through their kids. That's this whole
Hmm.
story in itself. Um, and every time I've gone to Georgia, I have gotten over this. It's been 30 years since the first time I went to Georgia. So for someone who's never lived in Georgia, I've probably been there way more than you should. And I always get to know my sister's friends, and she always talked about you. She always talked about
Hmm.
Mary. It was years before I actually met you. And then
Yes.
she was talk about suddenly the conversation shifted, and she's like, Mary has a quilting retreat. Mary has a quilting retreat. You really need to meet Mary. And I'm like, oh, okay, I have no control over this. I don't have Mary's phone number, so I can't call her. And so then she said, do you want to, we were going to meet you for lunch. We went to a Mexican restaurant. We had Violet with us, which is my niece at the time. I think she was maybe 13. So she was that kind of surly age where,
Hmm.
she didn't really want to talk to anybody. She was very off putting at the moment. And I remember we got there first, and Mary
Hmm.
came in, and suddenly Violet lit up like a Christmas tree, and she wouldn't stop talking. She was telling you all about her day at school. And I was like, okay, anybody who could get that from Violet is a pretty nice person. And so, but I remember being nervous about meeting you because I
Hmm.
wasn't sure if like I was meeting you as, hey, this is my friend Mary, or
Right.
hey, here's a job interview.
Right.
And you're like, okay. And I do kind of, I don't always have filters. Things just come out of my mouth,
Hmm.
which makes
Hmm.
podcasting easy for me. But
One of the most fun things about you is
no
what's she
filter.
going to say next?
Unfortunately, that runs through our family. So Mary already had like a buffer to it because my sister
Yeah.
is, I
Yeah.
would say Stacey's worse than I am about that.
Well,
But maybe
I'm
we
not.
don't. You
I'm
don't
not
want to
going
go.
there. I'm going to get myself in trouble with one or the other of you. I'm not going to do it.
No. And she'll probably be on a podcast as well. But so that was my first impression was just how much you how much Violet lit up around you. To me was kind of like, when your dog likes a person, you like the person. Well, when your niece
Right.
likes a person, you like a person. But also that I was very nervous because I wasn't sure like
That's so funny.
where we were going to go. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it was very formal. Like now knowing how we
It
talk and stuff,
was. It
it
kind of
was very
was. Yeah.
formal. Yeah.
Well,
So,
so, um, so probably about 10 years ago, I was on a trip with my family out west. I think we were going to Yellowstone, and we went to a quilt shop just outside the park.
mhm,
And I had this set of fabric that I had bought like the year before, and I was looking for a pattern to use this fabric. And I saw this beautiful quilt hanging in this quilt shop, and I'm like, I think that would be perfect for this bundle of fabric that I have. So I asked them if they had the pattern, and they said, no, it's a free pattern. It was in this magazine, and they wrote down the name of the pattern and the name of the designer on a sticky note.
mhm.
And when I got home, I stuck that on the wall of my sewing room, like right next to the door. So I would remember to look for that pattern and, be able to use that fabric for that pattern. So I had it on the wall. And then several years later, I meet Stacy, and oh, you're a quilter. My sister's a quilter too. She's a designer. She's in magazines all the time, and she's this, you know, big shot in the quilting world, and she's fabulous, and blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, what's her name? Heidi Pridemore. I'm like, that sounds really familiar. And then probably 3 or 4 weeks later, I'm walking out of my sewing room, and there's that sticky note with, I don't, I don't even remember the name of the pattern, but by Heidi Pridemore. I'm like, oh my God, her name has been on my wall for years now, and I've meant to make that pattern. So when I met you, I was like, it was like all fangirling, like,
Oh,
she likes me. It would be really cool if she would do a class for me. I was so nervous and so like, oh my
uh,
gosh, I'm
if
meeting
we
somebody
only had
famous.
known.
Right. It's probably a good thing we didn't know.
Well, I don't know. I might have enjoyed that Mexican food better. I was like, oh.
Maybe. But I was very impressed with just even though you said that you were nervous, you had that laid back manner, and you were very friendly and very um, like agreeable to like
Mm.
what
I'm a
I
middle child. It's required to be agreeable.
well, as the youngest child, it's required of you to do whatever I want too. So
Oh, so it worked
that's
out. That's what it was. It
yeah.
was the family dynamic. So now fast forward several years later, and
Mhm.
we think of each other as sisters, and
Yeah,
it's the dynamic has changed a lot, and
yeah,
I truly
absolutely.
appreciate the relationship we've created as we go
Me too.
down this rabbit hole trying a new thing of
Yes.
a
Yes.
podcast. So,
Yes.
so should we leave it there? Leave them wanting for more, or do you want to do any more questions?
Well, I think maybe we should touch on what we plan on doing with our podcast and what they can sort
Oh,
of
we have a plan?
expect. Of course we do. Of course we have a plan. I sent you notes on it.
You know what? I wrote down the notes.
Did you?
I well, okay, so I love Mary. She sends me all the important stuff via text.
Yes.
It's
So
not
I
like you
have
can
it
cut and paste out of text. So.
not with that attitude. Yes, you can.
Okay,
So,
right here. I have your notes.
yeah. So my vision for the podcast is I want to know what's going on in the quilting industry. I want to know what you're up to, what's
Mhm.
coming, um, different classes that are available. Um, Quilts have a very special spot in my heart, and we'll get into that in later podcasts. But like stories of what quilts mean to you and why quilting and what that creative process is. I want to know what you're working on. I want to share what I'm working on.
Yep,
Um,
I would agree with
it
that.
it's very helpful to kind of do a show and tell, or here's what I'm working
Mhm.
on, here's my progress on it, kind of a thing. I like gadgets. I buy a lot of all the
Yes.
quilting notions and gadgets and things like that.
Hmm.
And I think we'll talk about some of those.
Yeah.
Um,
Favorite
I have
techniques?
I have techniques that I absolutely hate
Yes.
and techniques that I might learn to love. Because I have this really
I
good
can
teacher
teach you to
that
love them.
comes and teaches at the lodge,
Hmm.
and she taught bag making at this last retreat. I still hate bag making, but I made a bag. But
And then what did I do? I said for the next retreat, could we swap in a bag? So
yeah,
there'll
I
be a
know.
second bag in the next retreat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll see about
We'll
that.
get you. We'll get you eventually.
I'll
You'll
get
like it
somebody to make that
eventually.
bag for me.
No, you
Um,
won't. I'm only
so
strict with one student in the whole class. It would be her. So,
take it as a challenge to make sure that I actually do it.
yeah.
Um, so Heidi gets to go and travel a lot and speak at different guilds and go to different shows and things like that. She's going to give us some insight and some information on things like that. You've visited
Yeah.
a lot
I'll
of
be
different quilt
going.
shops.
Yeah. Well, you
We'll
actually
talk.
visit more quilt shops than me, but I have
Okay.
the inside track on the industry and what's going on in the behind the
Right.
scenes. And I'll be
Hmm.
going to that really big trade show in Chicago. Oh, you'll be there too. I
I will
forgot you'll
be
be
there
there too.
too. We
So
might
you got to
have to
tell me if you're
record
rooming with
something
us or
together.
not. But yeah, so I think
Yeah.
there's so many things. But
Yeah.
tips and tricks
So
for sure,
yeah.
gadgets, um, ugh, so much stuff going on. I am like the worst at marketing myself.
Yeah.
Um, I need Mary to market me. so, so we can talk
So
about that.
yeah.
And
We're gonna
questions from the listeners.
techniques that they want to learn about, or
Mhm.
you know, um, what makes a positive quilt retreat, what to expect,
Mhm.
what should you bring, what should you not bring, things like
Mhm.
that. And I have a lot of quilt stories. I have a lot of quilts that mean a lot to me
Yeah.
because I'm really good at getting people to give me quilts.
She's really
So
good at getting people to give her things in general,
really,
mainly
really
because
good.
Mary is so generous. We all are like, we need to give back.
So
She's got a couple of mine. I've got a couple of yours. You're the
mhm.
only retreat I've ever left quilts at, though.
Nice.
I have never. I mean, I have. I do leave a breadcrumbs of quilts behind me, but never at
Mhm.
a retreat or just a group of people kind
Sweet.
of thing. So, and
Sweet.
we should show them all the quilts hanging on the railing
We
in the
will.
lodge. They're beautiful.
We will. I have a group up there right now. So maybe in the next couple of podcasts, we'll do a record from there and
Mhm.
give a little tour. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
things like that.
and
So,
yeah.
yeah, what's going on with us? And then um, the trip we were on in October was to Quilt Market in
Mhm.
Houston,
Mhm.
and we walked around the show together and met some really cool people who were small business owners with great ideas.
Mhm.
And I think one of the things that I would like to do with the podcast also is to highlight some of those other small business owners.
Oh
Um,
yeah, or
you know,
even other
the
pattern designers, other yeah, yeah.
exactly. So the woman that um, created the triangle papers that we used at the retreat in
Mm.
February, we
Yeah,
were
yeah,
able to
yeah.
meet her, and she is dynamic and delightful, so much fun. I'm very excited for her. She was so happy to be at Quilt Market,
Mhm.
and so there's people like that that I would like to highlight and have conversations with them and
Right.
help promote their business because I think as quilters, if I'm doing well, then Heidi's doing well, then the local quilt shops are doing well, and then the quilt industry is doing better. So
Mm-hmm.
as we support each other,
Mm-hmm.
um, as they say, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Yes.
So if you're doing well, then I'm doing well, and
Right.
this success gets
Yeah.
passed around. So
So, and
I'm
that's a good question to the listeners. If we have small business listeners or people who, have unique or cool gadgets or anything like that, and you want us to share about them, you can always leave us a message and we can follow up with you. So,
Mhm.
as this is our inaugural podcast, we have big dreams. We are
Yes,
organized, and we have lots of stories to
we
share.
do. We
Yeah.
do.
And we have lots of projects to share.
Yes,
And yeah,
yes.
yeah. So we hope
So
that they come on the adventure with us.
so what are the next, say quickly, the next three things you've got coming up?
Me? I
Yeah.
have a book coming out in the fall that is a quilt. It's quilt. They keep changing the name, but it's basically piecing, quilting, and applique techniques for beginners. And so it has, you go through a series of blocks, and then there's 6 projects in there. There is a bag pattern in there. Anyway, I have that. I have a couple of new lines coming out from Island Boutiques Fabrics. Splish
Nice.
Splash will be out in the summer. Crazy for Daisy will be out in the beginning of 2026.
Hmm.
And I have some amazing retreats at this place called Coosa Mountain Lodge. That is now, they should be open for reservations here fairly soon. Uh, Mary's
Hmm.
got Mary's got half of the project pictures, so I just got to get her the rest of them.
Hmm.
But I'm very excited to do that. I mean, I do travel and teach a lot around the country, and I teach on cruises. But Coosa's
Hmm.
very special to me because it's something that you and I curate together. Whereas a designer, I am usually in the position where the client's telling me what they want and I'm
Hmm.
delivering it. So the
Hmm.
fact that we get to do this together and I actually get to say, "Oh, I want to
Yeah.
learn this or I want to teach this and share
Hmm.
it with people." So those are my 3 things. How about you?
I am currently, well, the big thing is building the new building.
Mhm.
Um, um, I am currently working on getting certified to be a stripology instructor. And so I'm helping Shannon out at the Common Thread in Dahlonega.
Mhm.
Um, she is one of the stripology partner classes, stripology partner shops. And so I will be teaching classes at the shop. I taught my first one a week and a half ago, and the next one's coming up the end of April. So I'm very excited to be teaching again. I taught porcelain doll making through high school and college. That's part of the
That's
way I
right.
did for college. So I really enjoyed that, and I kind of miss being in a classroom setting like that. So I'm doing that, and I'm also starting a Scrappy Club at the Common Thread, and we'll have a different scrap project every couple of months, and you bring your scraps, and we work on it together. So I'm almost done with the first project, so then I can advertise that club as
Wow.
well.
Welcome to the dark side with us teachers. Appreciate
I'm
it.
excited. So the cool thing for me teaching these classes is it's really good incentive to get quilts finished.
Yeah. Nothing like a
Instead of
deadline to get something done.
exactly. So those are my three things coming up. So
Okay. Well, it sounds like we're both going to be really, really busy. Now you're off to Ireland
next
next
week,
week.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
We haven't discussed, since this is our first one, we haven't really discussed whether I'm going to get her to podcast from Ireland or not. But I hope you
I will
guys,
shoot. I'll definitely shoot some videos,
okay.
and we can incorporate those into the
Yeah.
podcast
Yeah.
for
So,
sure.
all right.
Hmm.
Well, I think this was a lot of, hopefully, you guys will get the idea of what we wanted to share with you. I
Hmm.
hope you will join us on this adventure. We are all about stitching up trouble. We are going to continue to share with you guys, behind the scenes, what's going on in our worlds, about the retreat, about the quilt industry and the craft industry in general. And we'll share some of our antics with you. Not all of them, but some.
Not all of them.
So, and if you guys have questions for us,
Next
make sure you.
time, tune in next time for the elevator story.
Oh yes, the elevator story. We need to
Yes.
travel more because we went on one trip and we've got
Yes.
multiple
Well,
stories from it.
yeah, we'll be in Chicago at the H&H Market. So
I know.
I'm
Well,
sure there'll be
Matthew
some.
will be with us. My husband's my business partner, and he'll be with us. He'll rein us in a little.
You can
Not as
try.
much trouble.
You can try.
All right. Well, I want to make sure if you guys have questions for us that you want to see in future podcasts, we certainly would like to incorporate that in. I hope you've enjoyed our first podcast. This was fun to finally get this off the ground, and
Yes.
we'll see you in the next one.
All right. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Okay, now I'm going to find the stop button.